When you lead a team, one of your most important jobs is to maintain or ideally improve team performance. The more you can improve team performance, the greater the value or profit the business gets from your team, and therefore the more value you create as a manager. Most managers understand this dynamic on some level. Just think about your career history so far. You start in a role. After a while, you really get the hang of that role. You get everything done a lot quicker than you used to. With the freed up time available, you take on extra, more challenging work. This adds more value or profit to the business. You repeat this cycle again and again through your career. Think about what happens when people problems develop in your team. The whole team gets distracted. They might get frustrated, annoyed, angry, or have different emotions depending on the situation. With part of the team member's energy and time being taken up by what is happening with a colleague and dealing with their own reactions and emotions, they don't spend as much time and energy on the activities and projects that deliver team goals. Team performance starts slipping. When behaviour or performance standards start slipping in the team, team performance will start dropping. This can happen quickly and bosses really start noticing, or it can happen slowly over time. For the manager, dropping team performance is a very real personal threat. Dropping performance means the company is losing profits. Your boss is getting pressure from their bosses to sort out the problem. That pressure gets passed down. If you don't or can't resolve the problems and get team performance back to previous levels, your boss will consider removing you. Removing the manager of a failing team is a sensible step for your boss. The threat to your job security is very real, and you feel this threat. Managers have power. They have the authority of their position, their boss's ear, better persuasion skills than most team members, and more. All of us, when we feel psychologically threatened, our brain drives us into a flight or fight response. This is a very natural human reaction. Very few managers feel they need to run away as part of their flight-fight response. Most managers will choose to fight and remove the threat. Everyone has slightly different reactions to a perceived threat. I recognise the signs in me being, I usually get frustrated towards the individual and then become angry over time. I start naturally wanting to spend less time with that individual, not invite them to participate in the latest meetings, not extend development opportunities to them, etc. My demeanour, my non-verbal body language and communication cools towards them. I don't display as much enthusiasm when I see them, talk less about personal stuff, etc. with them. I start mentally planning how I'm going to persuade my boss and HR to allow me to run a PIP and potentially remove the individual. Your reactions might be different. Any reactions of frustration, anger, fear, revenge, or actions to make your team member's life more difficult at work are classic signs of a threat response. The most important thing is to be aware of when a team member triggers your threat response and how you manage your reactions to this perceived threat. The more self-honest you are, the quicker you'll recognise the signs in you. You will also know when you are reacting negatively to the situation because the other person will shut down more, act more cautiously around you, be more withdrawn, i.e. a flight response, or they might become more difficult, annoyed, angry, etc. themselves, i.e. a fight response. In this situation, it is really easy for the reactions of both parties to escalate. This creates a vicious spiral which usually ends up with the team member resigning, leaving, or being removed by the manager. I was sitting across from a finance director in the offices of a large corporate. He had just finished a literal 5-minute rant about a team member with whom he was having major communication and performance problems. The FD was furious, frustrated, and at a loss as to what to do, other than remove that team member as quickly as possible. I could almost see the steam coming out of his ears. I pointed out how angry he was and then asked how all his anger was affecting the other person. He was silent for 2 to 3 minutes while he was thinking. Then I saw a light bulb go off in him. I explained what I've just shared with you to this FD and why his response was making the situation a lot worse. More thinking. Another light bulb went off. He was really calm and said, "I think I need to change how I'm approaching the situation." He took a specific set of actions we planned out, and within weeks he was smiling and talking very positively about his team member. Their relationship was in a good place and improving. The performance issues had vanished. The FD was a person with a decade plus of experience in managing teams. The key point of this story: it is really easy to get sucked into the emotions of the situation. When you feel threatened, you can very easily react in a way which makes the situation worse. You feel angry and subtly or directly threaten a team member because this is easy to do in a manager's position. Your team member feels threatened and has their own negative response. Their response makes you feel even more threatened, and this cycle continues, with both parties getting even more angry and fearful. This is the threat response barrier that you, the manager, have to overcome if you want to have a good chance of improving your team member. If you try to improve the other person while being angry at them, you have next to no chance of succeeding. Your anger and annoyance will come out in your non-verbal body language and how you communicate with them, and they will go into flight or fight mode. The threat response is a very real barrier that any manager faces to getting improvement from a team member. The idea of exercising your power as a manager and removing the individual is very tempting. "I'll show them" is a classic response to feeling threatened. To get improvement, you must avoid letting your fear and anger influence your actions and your non-verbal communication. This is not easy to do. The bigger the impact the situation has on the team and their performance, the harder it is to avoid having feelings of frustration, anger and fear influence your behaviour and actions. I invite you to join our How to Manage Difficult Employees course, which explains exactly what you should do to avoid a fear-driven situation and what mindset you need to adopt to maximise the chances of getting improvement from your team member. I invite you to click on the button below to join the course.